Good to see everybody. Really excited for a heck of a challenge for our team. NFC North divisional opponent at home. We've gotten off to a good start at home in our two opportunities. It's been an unbelievable atmosphere from our fans, and we've been very much looking forward to getting back to U.S. Bank Stadium and getting in front of our fans and expecting a great atmosphere. I know there'll be a ton of juice in the building, and we've got to have some good days of preparation. Coming off the bye, had a good short day on Monday. We'll get back in the pads today and continue our prep throughout the week. But this is a very important week of preparation because we're playing one of the best teams in the National Football League. Really good team in all three phases. Dan is one of the best coaches in our league, and his team and his staff, everything that they've got going on is going to be a heck of a challenge, and really with how well everybody's playing in our division, these division games are going to be really important. I want to give you guys an update on just Blake Cashman. He's dealing with a little turf toe that kind of came up in the London game. I thought it was a little bit just sore leaving London. Went through the bye week, and we've kind of established that that's what it is. He'll be really kind of day to day, week to week as he deals with that. We really don't know yet, but don't think it will be a long-term injury, with IR or anything involved in that. We'll just hopefully have him work through it and get back on the field as soon as possible. Don't really know about his status for this week. We'll see if he can get some limited work in throughout the week and maybe have a chance to go. And then we did acquire Cam Akers via trade. Cam has looked really good, whether it was the early reps in preseason with the Texans or, scoring against us when we played. Cam's been somebody that we didn't necessarily want to let go to somebody else last offseason, but good football players, that tends to happen. I want to credit Kwesi and his guys for getting a deal done to get Cam back here. Really is a depth move, has no bearing on kind of our current running back situation. Aaron is going to progress throughout the week and hopefully has a chance to go on Sunday. Ty Chandler and Myles Gaskin and Cam will work behind. But, I like where Ty's at. And obviously Aaron Jones has been a huge impact to our team. So getting to solidify that depth at that position with an urgency to run the football throughout the rest of the season, we wanted to make sure we could do that now when an opportunity became available.
Kevin, with Blake's injury, you guys have had to replace Ivan Pace before. How have you felt what Kamu Grugier-Hill's given you, and then not just that, but Josh Metellus being able to step in and replace him on that?
Yeah, I think the versatility of our whole defense. Kamu's been awesome when he stepped in there. IP, anytime we haven't had IP, you feel you feel like you're missing something because he's just a heat-seeking missile out there, physical presence, plays so hard, great tackler, great blitzer. So IP will, obviously be a little bit more of a hub of communication in the short term. And then I think whether it's Metellus, whether it's the different personnel groupings that we use, we've got a whole bunch of flexibility with some of those edge players as well about how we can align. So we'll just, take it really a day at a time as we put together the prep, figure out what works best as far as defending one of the best offenses in the NFL.
What is it about you guys' run defense that you think has been just made it so good over the last 2 years?
Yeah, I think, there's a lot can be said about the scheme. You just never quite know what you're going to be running into from a standpoint of either edge pressure or pressure from the backside. But the way I look at it, though, stopping the run is, in very much about the simple things, setting edges, playing the cutback with cutback players, defeating blocks, and making tackles, and having as many purple hats doing that, snap in and snap out, is what really makes that go. And I think the players have really capitalized on being put in some good positions by Flo, and then they're making a lot of plays.
What makes Branch and Joseph, their safety, so dangerous?
Yeah, I think, Branch has such a unique skill set, as a guy that's really a safety, nickel. He can play corner. He can really play in any spot in their secondary. He tackles incredibly well. He's a good blitzer, really tight coverage player. And then he's got great zone eyes as well, no matter where he is, even when he's the deep safety, when he's a nickel. When he's a safety down, playing man coverage, blitzing, whatever it is. Super instinctive. Really enjoyed getting to know him throughout the draft process because the more and more you learned about him, tough guy. You can just tell that loves football, and he's been a huge addition to them. And there's a level of physicality that Joseph plays with. You've got to know where he is, and they each play their own individual roles, but there's some versatility with both of them, and I think they're great communicators and really fit well with what AG wants to be doing defensively.
You built this team and went through the potential construction. How much did the Lions affect that thought process and the fact that they become very good with an identity of being a physical team, an explosive team? So when you and Crazy sat down, how much did you look at a team like the Lions and say, to beat them is going to be absolutely key, so we've got to come up with a philosophy to beat them?
Yeah, I think there's a couple ways to look at it. I think anytime, going into year 3 after 2 years of really having a lot of ops together as a football team to kind of figure out what we want to be for this year's team. I think it was a lot of things that went into that thought process of not only roster management and how we built it, but just the overall philosophy and our football philosophy of what we want these players to be hearing and experiencing every day when we practice, meetings, all those things. But there's no question just the success that they've had with their style, their play style. It's physical. They play fast. They've been explosive on offense. Jared's done a hell of a job at the quarterback position. They've got 2 really good running backs playing behind a really good offensive line. And they have impactful tight ends as well, one of the best young players at the position in the league. So I think they've done, credit to Brad and Dan for how they've built it. But at the same time, we feel very strongly about our foundation and kind of the additional pieces we were able to make this year, both young and veterans, that we felt solidified our roster for how we want to play. And then it's my job and our coaching staff's job to make sure that we go out and continue to make it come to life with how we practice, the things that we put big emphasis on to win, one game a week, and it changes, and there's different challenges every week in the NFL, but it seems like more and more with just the parity of the league, you got to play good football. You got to play good football. You got to play clean football. The opponent's trying to make you do the exact opposite, and it's just a battle for 3.5 hours every Sunday, and expecting 12 o'clock at U.S. Bank this week to certainly be one of those.
Defenses get physical with your receivers, so I guess specifically Justin, where you see some of that. Are the answers to that in moving him around or scheme things, or is it something the receiver needs to do coming off the line of scrimmage?
Yeah, I think you guys have seen it. We move him a ton. Try to help as best we can. We've seen basically every coverage structure that you can play with 11 guys on the field. I remember there was a play in 22 where they played with 12 and down in the red zone, I think in Buffalo, and they were allowed to do it. So credit to them for doing that. But we've seen every variation kind of known to man. I think the big thing is there's going to be times where we want to move some other guys. We're always going to try to have an urgency about Justin being a huge, our pass game runs through him, but the reason why we built our team the way we have, whether it's Jordan or Speedy or Brandon or Trent Sherfield, when TJ, eventually comes back, Josh, Johnny, Aaron Jones in the pass game with Ty has been a huge bonus for us. We're trying to create a world where decide however you want to defend us, and then it's our jobs to try to, as coaches, give our guys a good plan so that all 5 eligibles can come to life. And then as players, I may be the guy moving. What's our detail look like? Are we doing it exactly right? What's our snap points? What's our how do we maximize what we're trying to do? And that's where our players have been great. Looking at it through the bye, I think we could be better and just continue to get a little bit better and better in our execution. And then the technique and fundamentals. I'm not moving. I'm pressed up. I'm in single coverage. I'm running a slant or a go ball or whatever route it is. There's a reason why these guys play at this level, and you got to use your technique and fundamentals. Keenan drills it every single day, but you got to bring it to the stadium with you every single snap, because that one op that you separate and win might be the one that changes your whole day.
Evan, do you see a path where you might add more via trade, or how do you assess that with the deadline a few weeks ago?
Oh, I think where we're at right now as a team, we're just focused on the guys we have, and we're really excited about our roster. But I'm sure, as we move forward here, Kwesi and his group will be evaluating any and all options that work from a standpoint of continuing to build this team. But at the same time, we feel like we've got really good depth. That was one of the reasons why we made the move for Cam, just to continue to solidify an important part of our team for the next 12 games and beyond. And if there's an opportunity to do that in another position, or an opportunity to add an impact player, you just have to work through all of those as a group and figure out what works best.
Hockenson injury impact just your plans going into this game?
Yeah, first and foremost, just you just feel terrible for Aiden, one of the best defensive players in our league, and to see an injury like that did not surprise me one bit. To see the reaction both in Dallas last Sunday with his own team and the Cowboys, and the respect level there. But countless amounts of our players have I know they're all thinking about him, because this is a brotherhood. We're going to compete like crazy and try to get a win on Sunday, but these players care about one another, and Aiden's one of the best players at his position in the league. So do they change? Do they change how they play? I don't think so. But if they do, we'll have to make some adjustments. But when 97's not out there, it's going to be impactful to any defense. But I will say, between McNeil and the other players they have on the edge, I think they've got great linebackers, and the way they activate all 11, I think they're the number one blitzing team on third down in the NFL. They play an attacking style. It might not be identical or similar to Flo's defense and our attacking style. Everybody has their own flavor, but I think AG does a phenomenal job, and it's always a challenge to play against these guys. They've got really good personnel, and they have the next man up mentality, and we expect to have a heck of a challenge no matter what on Sunday.
The way that Gilmore closed that game out, what was it? Do you think it was about the way he played? He played that entire play, played the receiver, played the ball, that convinced the officials to let him play? Because we've seen where there'd be flags on something maybe less than that.
I think the important thing is understanding the officials are going to let these guys play within 5 yards, and we've obviously I know our wideouts have generated quite a few defensive coverage penalties beyond that 5 yards, but within the 5 yards, our guys are really having to play through physical grabs, holds. People playing different leverages and trying to fight to keep those leverages. I think Steph just does an unbelievable job understanding space, timing, what's the call, where's my help, how's this play going to play out based upon this split, what routes might I get, and then ultimately, the real-time reactions to be able to understand, okay, this release equals what? It's either this or this, and then ultimately the feel of thousands upon thousands of reps of when to get your eyes back and be ready to make a play on the football. I think anytime a defender can be in phase, we call it, and with tight coverage, and then also get their eyes back on the football, it's pretty darn good coverage, even if it is a little bit more physical.
Said that there wasn't panic. A lot of guys in a situation might panic and try and swat the ball as opposed to intercepting it.
Yeah, and I think that's the feel. Just it's happening very fast for you and I as we watch it, but for him it's frame by frame, and he's just kind of sequentially adding up a lot of information and finishing it off with the instincts to then make the play. And he's always had what's made him so dangerous for so long is the ball skills to finish that play. So many times people talk about ball skills as just catching the ball, but what leads into that catch is all of that information that he's acquiring and then anticipating how he's going to catch it, frame it up, and then finish it. It was a huge play.
Is the quick back-to-back here going to impact the TJ decision? Like, if he played on Sunday, clearly you come back and play on Thursday. Like, is that going to factor into his activation, do you think?
Yeah, I don't think so. I think we're just going to let TJ get some good work in this week and see where he's at, and got a lot of football left. So we want to make sure he's done everything from a standpoint of what we've asked him to do from his rehab. He's in a great spot. He's moving around great. But he's got to get acclimated back into football a little bit, and we ask him to do a lot in our offense, and we want him to feel like he's working his way towards doing that, because we know there's a lot of football ahead, and he's going to be a huge part of it that we have not had with us through these first 5 games.
Last one.
surprised Brian Branch fell to 45 or whatever it was in the draft?
I just knew he was a really good football player. What that meant for where he got picked, it just I can remember moments even probably, I think it was at the scouting combine, and running tape and having him talk about the call and what he's looking at in his eyes and what's been communicated to him. Then he got into technique fundamentals. He's just a special kid, and heck of a competitor, and he's a tough guy to go against. I know we've got a ton of respect for him.
Thanks, everyone.